Hello all, welcome to DevOps Techie channel. This channel is mainly useful for DevOps related content with both conceptual and real-time scenarios along with interview based questions. So as part of our discussions on DevOps, today I come up with another beautiful discussion which is related to Terraform scenario based interview questions. So as we know, Terraform is a infrastructure as code tool which is used to provision the infrastructure in a automated way using the modules or some code, right? Without having any manual intervention to provision the infrastructure. So as part of this Terraform scenario based interview questions, today I have already gathered which is from my own experience or from my colleagues or from the chat GPT or from YouTube or from LinkedIn. I have already gathered 40 questions. So in this video I will just post 20 questions. So please subscribe to this channel so that you will be notified once I uploaded the content in a DevOps Sticky channel. So coming to the topic, the first question in Terraform. Your team manually changed an AWS EC2 instance configuration from the AWS console. As you know, Terraform have its configuration total infrastructure information in statefile, right? But someone change an AWS EC2 instance configuration in the AWS console. How would Terraform detect and handle this drift? In the question itself I mentioned drift so that you will be identified, okay, this is drift. If someone changes manually in the console, if it's not a part of a Terraform state file, then if you apply Terraform plan, then it will detect that it will drift, it will show the drift like some, this is the manual change in the console. So how would we act at this situation and how would you fix this situation? This is the theme of this first question. So might I will plan answers as well for this on time permits. So for time being, I come up with only questions which is related to Terraform along with the scenario based interview questions. So coming to the next one, a production resource was accidentally deleted outside Terraform. What steps would you take to bring the infrastructure back to the desired state? A production resource was accidentally deleted, which is outside the Terraform. So it's asking for what precaution step you will take to avoid it in future, and at that moment how would you bring the infrastructure back to the desired state. As we know, there is desired state and actual state which is compared by Terraform, while we have plan and apply, right? So how would you get back to the actual, how would you restore that resource which was deleted with unintentionally? Coming to the next one, multiple DevOps engineers are working on the same Terraform project. How do you prevent state file corruption? So everyone working on the same infrastructure, which is how which is kept by state file so that no one would be override. How would you prevent this state file corruption? You are coming to the next one. Your Terraform state file contains sensitive information. How would you secure it? So this coming to the security part. So your Terraform state file also has sensitive information. How would you secure it? Is it use any other HTTP vault or any other things? How would you propose the security to store your sensitive information? Next thing, an existing AWS VPC was created manually. How would you manage it using Terraform without recreating it? Already AWS VPC was created manually, but you need to manage it using Terraform but without recreating. Means how would you that VPC will be taken care by configured by Terraform, but you no need to recreate it. How would you map to Terraform infrastructure manageable? This is the theme of this fifth question. And coming to the next question, during Terraform apply, a resource creation fails halfway. You just updated everything and you just have plan, it's everything fine, and you just click on Terraform apply, but the resource creation fails halfway. In between, the resource apply is failed. How would you recover from the partial deployment? Means your deployment is not still completed fully. How would you recover it? So these will test your real-time knowledge on your work in your project. So we can expect these type of real-time scenario-based interview questions from Terraform. You need separate infrastructure for dev, QA, and production. How would you design the Terraform code? Because we are not directly releasing anything to the production directly, right? So we have lower environments also. Then how would you separate the infrastructure through Terraform code? Are you maintaining any separate data files? Are you maintaining any environment specific folder structure? How you will separate the infrastructure for the different environments? This is this question. Coming to eighth one, a Terraform deployment accidentally attempts to delete a production database. This is a critical thing, right? So how would you prevent this? Would you prevent this without happening? If this issue happened also, how would you react at that moment? How would you get back? And coming to next one, your Terraform code contains repeated resource blocks. How would you make the code reusable and maintainable? If suppose there is a requirement now with the instance type T2 medium, so I utilize it this time, but next time if I have a requirement of different configuration type, then how can I use this one? How that code will be reusable? Are you using any modules? How you are rating, how the configuration happening, how the values we are passing to the configuration file, everything you need to cover at this point. So, and next thing, a Jenkins pipeline is running Terraform. What stages would you implement before applying changes? In real time, guys, in our project also, before Terraform apply happening, it will go to the approval part, reviewer part, approvers, and then only post approval only the rest of the stages will complete. So, like this, in the Jenkins pipeline, it's happening. Jenkins pipeline is running Terraform. What stages would you implement before applying changes? And coming to next question, how would you implement an approval process? As I discussed just a while back, how we can implement an approval process before deploying infrastructure changes to production, because directly by my own decision I can't deploy the infrastructure, right? So we need to have proper approval in place. Even if you have a production CR change request, then you need to have map approval, you need to raise LNA request, you need to maintain specific window time for this deployment, everything is happening, right? So how would you implement an approval process before deploying infrastructure changes to production with respect to pipelines part? 10 and 11 you can interlink. Your application requires zero downtime during infrastructure updates. How would you Terraform help achieve this? Means every application we need to have every time available, right? For that purpose only we are all running with these type of these many types of DevOps tools itself. So how would you ensure zero downtime so that if you ordering something on Mintra, then your order ID should be generate now itself. If you ordering now, tomorrow you will get order ID, means it's not good practice. And while you are giving some payment in the Flipkart, Myntra or Meesho, then your payment is then and itself stop during the mid process. then it causes so many issues. Again, when it rise, we will lose our money. So this is not have a availability of application, right? So to have all these operations smooth, that is zero downtime during infrastructure updates, how would you help to achieve? Coming to next one, how would you manage secrets such as database passwords in Terraform? This thing we can cover there as well, like how to secure the sensitive information using Terraform. These two questions come under one panel. So 14th one, a developer accidentally deletes the Terraform state file. What recovery options we do have? A developer accidentally deleting the Terraform state file means state file consists of the all the infrastructure information which is managed by the Terraform, but someone deleted it unknowingly. Then what are the recovery options and how you will prevent it in the future as well? And coming to 15th one, how would you migrate a local Terraform state file to a remote backend? If we are storing in state file Terraform state file in local means it will be override, it will be corrupted, right? So in real time we are managing this in a remote backend. Cloud provider we are using AWS and the resource is S3. So state file is not corrupted. If something goes wrong also we will version back, but we have DynamoDB lock is this. If two people are working, or if someone want to delete any intentionally corrupted state file also, it don't happen. So we do have remote backend with combo of DynamoDB lock. Next one, your organization uses AWS, Azure, GCP. These are the cloud providers, guys. How would you Terraform manage resources across multiple cloud providers? So Terraform will support different kind of cloud providers like AWS, Azure, GCP. They have their individual provider plugins, API calls. So whatever the cloud provider, irrespective of cloud provider, Terraform will work. We no need to bother about it's have specific cloud, not like that, but it will support everything. But you need to understand how it's reaching to AWS cloud provider. Is it API or plugins? How Terraform init you are doing means what's happening in the background of Terraform, it that you need to know. And a Terraform plan shows unexpected resource replacement. How would you investigate the reason? You have to create the infrastructure, Terraform apply, but before that we need to check, right? Terraform plan, then it's showing the resource replacement is happening. So how would you investigate? How would you fix? What are the actions you will take from your end to mitigate this issue? That's the theme of this question. And next thing, how would you roll back infrastructure changes if a deployment introduces issues? So already you deployed something to the any environment, it's a lower environmental production, but you need to roll back the changes. To roll back the infrastructure changes, how would you perform rollback at this scenario in the Terraform? That's the theme. And next thing is like you need to create 100 EC2 instances with similar configurations. Might here I'm mentioning 100 EC2 instances with similar configurations, but you might get 100 EC2 instances with different configurations in your interview might be. So which Terraform feature would you use? Would you, there are count and for each is there, guys. So please go through count and for each. For if count of resource creation is more, how we can use count, what is the purpose of for each, then if we have count, what is the purpose of for each, so that you need to investigate from your end. 20th last question, how would you deploy infrastructure only when code changes are uploaded and merged into the main branch? We have Jenkins file in the Git and we have pipeline Jenkins file in the Git, which have mentioned all these stages as we discussed in a while, how it's showing, how it will check out to that Git, how it clone the code, and how it test the code using SonarQube, how it's go for deployment after all the approvers from the Terraform So how it's deploying, like each stage and each thing, each task, each step performed in the Jenkins agent, how it's happening, starting from Jenkins master, how it's assigning, how the agent is performing, building, how it's deploying, which version it's taking, how it was giving the new version, everything you need to understand, starting to end, like end to end you need to know. So I have couple of 20 more questions always gathered from my end. I will come up with the rest of the 20 scenario based questions of Terraform in the next video. Please do subscribe. You will be notified while I uploaded new content related to DevOps. Hope these sessions are very useful for you guys. Thank you everyone.